Welcome back to another World History 1 video. For today's video, we are going to be diving in and looking at sort of the founding of the Roman Republic. Now, if you look into the history of Rome, you can see that it's kind of divided up into many different time periods, but one way that historians sort of divide it is going to be based on the type of government that they have. So, of course, first you can see we will look at the Seven Kings period when Rome was ruled by kings. Next, we will look a bit at the Roman Republic, and you can also, we're not going to talk about it in this video, but you can see that after the Republic, Rome is going to transform into a period that is often referred to as the Roman Empire, but this is the time where you start to see men like Augustus Caesar, people like Nero, these different rulers who have sole power, even if there is still a governing body that is technically under them. But for us today, we are going to start by looking at the founding of Rome. Now, legend says that Romulus and Remus, they were twins. They were the son of Mars, who is the god of war, and what happened is that they are eventually going to be born to this, I believe, like a Vestal Virgin, and with that, they are going to be abandoned. So you have this wolf that is going to come and is going to raise them and take care of them. Eventually, they are found. They are brought into society, but they know that they are going to be destined for greatness, essentially. And with this story, the way it goes is that with Romulus and Remus, they both start to build these cities. Remus is going to insult the city that Romulus has built, and when he does this, eventually Romulus will kill Remus, which is why we now have Rome. Now, with this founding, this early city, Romulus definitely needed to have some help with the city. A lot of the people that he initially brought in to help populate this city, these were men who had been outcast by society for whatever reason, sometimes for crimes, for murders, sometimes just by their own families. But these were men, and they needed to have some women if they planned on populating this city or having a city that seemed a bit more sustainable or normal. And in order to do this, he ends up actually attacking a neighboring city, the Sabines, and when they do this, he is going to end up taking a lot of their women. They are going to bring them in. They take advantage of these women in an effort to keep the city thriving. Now, they eventually will actually come up with a plan with this neighboring group where they are going to sort of combine their forces. They're going to be allowed to have access to their women in a way. They're going to work together. They're going to try to find a way to be more powerful together. And this is where we enter into the Seven Kings phase. Now, the first king that ruled in Rome is going to be Romulus. After that, you will see that the sort of succession is going to be based on having rulers from each of these corresponding groups. So you will see that at times it will be a Roman and at times it will be from the neighboring group. After that, we can see that there are a lot of different kings, again, 7 of them, but we're not going to go into all of them. One that is notable is going to be Numa Pompilius. He is really well known for regulating religion. He uses religion sort of as like a unifying force for the people that are living in Rome, and he uses it as a way to expand power. Now, with that, he also is going to create a school for priests and really helps to spread the religion that way. With these kings, some were good, some were bad, but arguably one of the ones that ended up being sort of the worst and led to the downfall of the 7 kings, it's going to come under Tarquin the Proud. He is known for, he as well as his family's brutality. His son actually raped a noble's wife, and instead of staying quiet, she came out. She came in front of the people of Rome. She announced what had happened to her. She let them know and further shed light on sort of the abuses of this family. And after that, you see that the people are starting to rebel. They don't want to have these kings any longer. After this, you see that they want to have a new system. A lot of times I'll hear students sort of liken this to the American Revolution, where they had a system where they were ruled by a king. They didn't really feel that that was necessarily the best form of government for them. So instead of maintaining a kingship, they are going to switch to something different. Now, for Rome, what they are going to switch to is going to be furthering this republic and having these consuls. Now, as far as this Roman Republic, keep in mind a couple of things. First and foremost, they have a reverence for the past. When the Republic is founded in 509 BCE, they still look to Romulus. They think that this is a story that is part of their founding. But with this, we'll see that later writers, even people like Cicero, they write about how Romans look to their past to find answers for their present and their future, and reminds people that their founding was literally based on Romulus killing his own brother, and they question what that means for Rome and how they can move past that. But for the Roman people, they do have a lot of common values that are very important to them. They believe that power is common for all citizens and important for government as well. They also, however, are very aware of social divisions. So you can see that you have the plebeians. The plebeians are everybody pretty much. So if you are a plebeian, you could be wealthy, you could be very poor, you could have any number of jobs. And before you get to the plebeians, you're going to have a group known as the patricians. Now, these are going to be people who are descendants of the first 100 senators. And you might be thinking to yourself, how do they already have descendants of these first 100 senators? We just did start talking about the Republic, but the important thing to keep in mind is that even when they were under the 7-king system, there was still a Senate that was supposed to inform the kings. So those who were part of this system initially, these first 100 citizens, their ancestors are continued to be revered, and they are considered to be the patricians. Now, as far as the government that is set up in the Republic, you can see that there are going to be 2 consuls. Now, with these consuls, they are going to serve a 1-year term. The idea here is that no one person will be able to become too powerful. It also is going to allow other patricians to come in and take power at various times. Now, in order to be a consul, you do have to be a patrician, and chances are also pretty good that you have served in the Senate. So when consuls are elected, it is done by the people. Theoretically, each person is supposed to get 1 vote. They also have to sort of bad talk each other, no different than what you see with common elections. And these men that are running for consul, they also give different types of handouts to the people that are going to be voting for them. However, like I said, it's supposed to be 1 man, 1 vote. However, it is not always going to be that way. There are definitely signs of corruption even within this system. Now, as far as the senators, they are supposed to be the oldest and the wisest members of the Republic. Oftentimes, they have served as a consul. So once you have served as a consul, you go back into the Senate, and vice versa. A lot of people who become consuls have served in the Senate already. As far as the senators, they do not get paid, but normally they are already incredibly wealthy. And in later decades, you can see that the senators are going to be paid under the table to help pass different types of legislation. And it's sort of with this that they start to make money off of their position. Again, very similar to what you can see in governments in today's time. Now, at first we see that the plebeians have very little power. They do have their own council that they are able to benefit from. But again, at first there's no real power. So what they actually do is they completely secede from public life if they want to get something passed. Meaning they remove themselves from city life, from public life. They stop working. They stop benefiting society in any way. And because of this, they are going to get different concessions. So, for example, in 494, they do this where they secede from public life, and eventually you see that the Senate gives in and allows the plebeians to elect their own tribunes, basically more localized leaders as opposed to like the Senate or the consuls. They also are going to push for the 12 tables, which is their law code, we'll get to that in just 1 second, to be public. This is very important. Think about it this way. There are certain laws that we inherently know that something is illegal or that something is legal. And because of that, we are able to act accordingly. Now, we don't know every single law that's ever been passed, but we know a lot of the big ones, and we especially know the ones that could impact our day-to-day lives. Now, imagine if you had no idea what the laws were. Imagine that they were not accessible to you. So you go about your day, you don't know exactly what it is, what your rights are. Even something as simple as if you do get arrested, we know that you have a right to an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you. We know these things. But what if you didn't know what your protections were? That was the reality for most plebeians living in Rome. They had no idea what the laws were. But by having the 12 tables public, they would now know not only what was illegal and illegal, but also what their rights as citizens are. In addition to that, you also see that by the time you get to 367, that one consul has to be a plebeian. Now, of course, they are going to find ways around this. They are going to, if they elect a plebeian, only elect those that have risen in the ranks, people that are very wealthy, people they believe they can control. However, you do see instances where the plebeian who is elected is going to gain a lot of power. They can help to make a difference in those that they represent. Now, as far as the 12 tables that I was just talking about, I did want to look at those for just a second. But as far as Roman law with these 12 tables, I have some of them up here. With these, we can see that one of them is to appear in court when you are summoned. It's important for people to know that. Another, private property is protected. These ideas of private property emerging and the concept of it being written down is very important, not only for what we're studying right now in history, but also as you move further through World History 1, World History 2, we see these ideas of private property further being developed and established. Another one, roads must be kept in order. One that is very important that people needed to know is that patricians and plebeians could not marry. So it was important for plebeians to know this. If you are pursuing a woman who is a patrician, then you could absolutely end up breaking the law if you were to be caught or if you were to get married. So with this, we can see that these are very, very important laws that people need to know. Eventually, you also see that Rome, as it expands and conquers more groups of people, they're going to have what is known as the law of nations. Now, with this, we can see this idea of natural law based on reason. There's this idea that there's justice for all, the idea of innocent until proven guilty, the use of evidence in court cases is required, and different ideas like that that, again, will continue to be shaped throughout history. Now, with this, I'm not going to go into it in this particular video, but like you see with the law of nations, Rome does start to expand. And it's this expansion that is going to cause Rome to basically have to constrict itself while expanding itself. It's going to be very hard for them to deal with all of this expansion. Eventually, you will see on this map right here, by the time you get to around 117 CE, Rome encompasses the entire Mediterranean and beyond. This is a huge empire to have to rule. Now, space-wise, no, this is not going to be the biggest empire we will look at in this class. But if we think about the sheer number of people, if we think about the different cultures and different types of people, I mean, you can see everywhere from Egypt to Gaul, even up as far as what will later become England up here. We can see Spain over here. These areas, they're all very, very different. Even looking over here, you can see Mesopotamia, another civilization that we have already looked at. And if you're keeping your mind on these civilizations that we have studied, you will know that these areas are very different. They have different religions. They have different laws, different beliefs on life. So it's because of this that Rome will eventually become so expanded, and it will become so distant from its original founding, from its founding of the Republic, that you will see that the Roman Republic will start to crash and you will see the Roman Empire start to emerge. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will look forward to talking with you in the next video.